I don't know if any of you guys have heard of Louise L. Hay. Is it Louise Hayes? Louise Hay. Louise Hay, she wrote this book, You Can Heal Your Life. And it comes with a companion book. But her books are really interesting because she talks about affirmations and different thought patterns that we have, that we've grown up with or we've been told as a child and throughout our lives, and there are different thought patterns that we now tell ourselves even subconsciously. And in the back of her book, she talks about different places that we store fat in our body and what it means, and the thought patterns that are attached to that, and different affirmations that we can tell ourselves to try to change those synapses and try to basically download new thought patterns for our brains to have, to basically heal our own bodies. And according to her, you can actually heal your own body. My mom bought these books for all of us girls, and my brother as well, back in, I want to say it was like 2004, 2005, roughly early 2000s. My little sister was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. And if you read this, it basically tells you that you have the ability to heal your own body. And kind of like blood, sweat, or tears, your body manifests its own toxins. If you can't get it out cognitively through words, and you can't figure it out emotionally, and you're not processing, you're not getting it out, there is something that happens where your body does start digesting emotions, thoughts, things that have experiences that we have. And when that happens, it has to come out one way or the other. And it's not really surprising when people end up with certain types of illnesses or cancers. So this is what she has to say about fat. Fat, the problem cause. Oversensitivity often represents fear and shows a need for protection. Fear may be a cover for hidden anger and a resistance to forgive. So she also attaches a new thought pattern for that. I mean, that's kind of intense, and if you think about it, it kind of metaphorically makes sense. I mean, people gain weight in different places. If you notice, certain people only gain weight in their hips and their thighs. Other people gain weight almost creating a barrel in their stomach. Your stomach is your core, literally. People that gain weight there, it would make sense that they would, and that they'd be protecting themselves or almost coveting around it and holding whatever fear of being seen, fear of being loved. I like how she talks about how certain areas of your body that creates fat and stores it, like in the hip area and the thigh area, has a lot to do with anger and lack of forgiveness that you're holding on to. A lot of times it has to represent with your parents or parent-like figures. And it's interesting because there's a lot, especially in my family, I've noticed, that's where women really gain weight as they get older. I've noticed they have really tiny waists, but the hourglass just gets bigger and bigger, and almost to the point where it becomes lopsided, where it becomes a pear shape. And it's the thighs and the hips with the women in my family where they gain weight. And if you talk to them, they all have their own individual issues, but a lot of it stems from their childhood traumas that they haven't really let go of or learned to forgive and move forward. And so it's kind of interesting that she's saying that a lot of that has to do with just pent-up rage and anger and holding on to that, and it literally stores in your fat. What's also interesting about that concept is one of the things that you'll learn in somatic therapies if you study it, is that we store memories in our tissue, which is interesting if you think about it. Every experience that you have, every emotion that you've encountered with it, you store it in your tissue. It's like basically like imprinted. And if you notice from the feet up on a human body, you can kind of, your body literally tells its own story of the path that it's walked on throughout its life. because of that. So it is really important that you don't just work it out cognitively. I mean, at a certain point, going to therapy and talking about things and talking about things and then talking some more about things, it's almost like basically mental masturbation after a certain point, because you can only talk about an issue so long before it's like, okay, well, now that you've identified it, you've understand that there's something wrong, what do you plan on doing about it? What's the next step? How do you let go of it? How do you attach other emotions to these situations or these experiences that you've had so that you can let go, and that you're not bringing that baggage into every new relationship and friendship that you come across throughout your life?